Today we're going to be talking about how you can access anything on T-Mobile Edge. So before we get started, here's a list of things you're going to need. First off, you're going to need a computer, that is a server, at home running either Linux or Mac. You're going to need an internet connection on that computer. You're going to need a jailbroken and unlocked iPhone on T-Mobile. Obviously, if it's on T-Mobile, it's going to be unlocked. And in order for us to put the software that we're going to need to put on it, it has to be jailbroken. We're also going to need an HTTP proxy server running on the computer at home. For this tutorial, we're going to use Polipo HTTP proxy server. Then you're going to need to be running SSH server on that computer. And you're going to have a DNS name, could be anything, as long as it has the word T-Mobile in it somewhere. Okay, so first off, we're going to configure the proxy server for use on the server computer. We're going to be using Polipo proxy server, like I said, that can be downloaded at the link on your screen there. To configure it, we're going to launch it there and open up Preferences. There are a number of optional settings that you can check here, but we're going to be looking at the ones that are needed to get this running on T-Mobile. T-Mobile only allows certain ports through their Edge, so you're going to have to set that to port 8080. If you want, you can check remove ads, etc. Those are optional, like I said. You have to check the allow access from any client, otherwise more than likely your iPhone will not be able to connect to the server. Now let's start the server, and we're going to have to turn off the firewall to make sure that the iPhone can access the proxy server. You can find that in security. Make sure your firewall is turned off. Then we're going to come in here and turn on remote login, which is SSH, and you might also want to have file sharing and remote management turned on if you want to access other things on the computer like screen sharing. Now, in order for all this to work, we're going to have to forward the ports from the router to this server computer. You can do this by typing in your router's IP address in a web browser and logging into the router admin page. We're going to go under the Applications tab or Port Forwarding tab. It might be different on your router. And you want to forward port 8080 to the IP address of this computer on your network. And that can also be found under System Preferences in Network Settings. The IP address can. So once you've got that forwarded, you're going to need a DNS name that has the word T-Mobile in it. A good place to get a DNS name is freedns.org. When you set this up, you're going to want to use your external IP address, not your computer's internal IP address. This can be found at a place like ipchicken.com. Once that's configured and set up, we're going to need to put the stuff on your iPhone that you're going to need. The first package you're going to need is connect.c. You can find that in Cydia. It's part of the default repos. You don't need to add anything to your sources. And just install that, connect.c, and that will allow you to use the HTTP proxy server. Next, you're going to need a program called Ztelnet. That's available on the App Store, and it's free. It allows you to connect via SSH, but since you're jailbroken, you're going to be SSHing into your own iPhone. Now that that's installed, you're going to need to configure your SSH client to connect to the server you just set up. Hopefully you have configured your DNS name to point to the outside IP address of your router that you forwarded the ports of your internal computer to. So your config file should look almost exactly like this, except replace tmobile.ignorelist.com with your own DNS name that you have. Save that config file, and we'll move on to actually connecting. Open up Ztelnet and SSH right into your iPhone. It should be root 127.0.0.1, and the password is Alpine on all iPhones. This connect string here basically forwards a bunch of ports that I had set up. You'll probably want to type in something almost exactly like that, except use your own username and password for the computer you're connecting to. Then once you've SSH'd in, you can access any services you want to, like VNC for instance. I have VNC running on the server, and now I can connect through that SSH tunnel I just created and access my server that I'm running here. It all depends on what ports you forwarded and where you forwarded them to. You could forward ports to your email server or to any site that uses HTTPS, and you can use that to make it work. That's all for today. If you like this video, please rate it thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, or post a comment below. Thank you.